people from different backgrounds and different ethnicities have different skin color, hair color, or eye color. Now, how does a growing hair know what color it has to be? Or who dictates the height of a person? Like all living organisms, human beings are also made up of cells. Cells have nucleus present inside it, which is the controlling unit of the cell. And inside the nucleus, there are many noodle-like structures, highly coiled in nature, known as the chromatin fibers. Now, the chromatin fibers are responsible for the different characteristics in a person. Now, how does it regulate so many characteristics together? Well, let us see. All human beings have a fixed number of chromatin fibers in the nucleus. And these chromatin fibers express different characteristics. Now, not only does the number of chromatin fibers remain same across different people, but also the specific features remain constant. Let us see an example. See, if this is a chromatin fiber of person 1 showing features of height and skin color, then person 2 and 3 will also have this chromatin fiber with characteristics of height and skin color. Now, you might wonder that how does one chromatin fiber express more than one feature? Well, this is possible because of the presence of these specific regions on the chromatin fiber, and these specific regions control different characteristics in man. Now, these specific regions also remain constant between people to people, between person to person. Now, see, person 2 and 3 will also have this specific chromatin fiber with these specific regions expressing characteristics of height and skin color. But the expression might not be the same. And that is why there is differing height and skin color between people to people. Now, I have taken the example of height and skin color, but there are other characteristics in the human body, and all these characteristics are controlled by these specific regions on a specific chromatin fiber, which remains constant across all human beings. Now, to accommodate so many character-giving regions, the chromatin fiber length has to be very long. Now, the total chromatin fiber length in a human cell is about 2 meters. Now, how does 2 meters get accommodated into this tiny nucleus? Well, this is because of its highly coiling feature that chromatin fiber can easily get accommodated into this tiny nucleus. Now, the different regions express different characteristics. Do they all look the same? Well, let us focus on this part and let us magnify this part. See, it is made up of a double-stranded structure of DNA. It closely resembles a coiled rope. Now, if we further magnify, we'll be able to see that this coiled portion of DNA is made up of a repetition of a unit. This unit is known as a nucleotide. See, all of these are nucleotides. So, a chain of nucleotides form the DNA sequence. So, the common part of a nucleotide is the phosphate and the deoxyribose sugar. But the part which is not common to all the nucleotide is the base. See, this is the variable unit. Now, these bases can be of 4 different types. One type is known as adenine. It can be guanine, thymine, and finally cytosine. So there are 4 nucleotides in total that make up the DNA, the full form of which is deoxyribonucleic acid. Now see, the 4 bases can form different codes. See? This is one code which expresses a particular characteristic in a person. Now notice, adenine can only complement with thymine and cytosine can only complement with guanine. Now let us try another code. This is another code which specifies another characteristics in a person. So the different sequences are present for different characteristics, and these different sequences are known as genes, and they provide genetic information. Now, DNA forms a specific code in the nucleus. What is a code? Where code is a chain of nucleotides of either strands of the DNA. It might be this strand or this strand. Now, according to this nucleotide chain, a corresponding code or a corresponding nucleotide chain is formed in the nucleus itself, which is known as RNA. Now, the main difference between DNA and RNA is that while in DNA, the sugar residue is deoxyribose sugar, in the case of this code, it is ribose sugar. And hence, this code that is formed inside the nucleus is known as ribonucleic acid or RNA. Now, another point of difference is that, see, if you notice carefully, there are 4 residues in an RNA as well. There is cytosine, guanine, and adenine, which is common to that of DNA. But this base is known as uracil, which is not present in DNA. And the base that is present in DNA, that is thymine, is not present in RNA. Now, this RNA forms a protein in the cytoplasm which expresses characteristics in the body. Corresponding to different DNA codes, different RNAs are formed in the nucleus, and different RNAs code for different proteins in the cytoplasm which expresses different features in a man. So coiling of DNA forms the chromatin fibers. Chromatin fibers during cell division further condense and further coil to form these highly coiled structures known as the chromosomes. Now, everybody, all of us, we are born with a set of genes which is responsible for our physical attributes like our hair color or the skin color or the height or the eye color. Now, there are genes for skill sets also. There might be a student who is brilliant in maths, but there are also few students present who cannot grab the subject at all, no matter how hard they try. So does it mean they do not have the gene for mathematics? Well, that is not the case. There are no different genes for different subjects like mathematics or biology or chemistry. But there are genes present for analytical reasoning, logical thinking, or memory, or learning, which can be honed with more practice and more effort. Now, it might be possible that a person completely lacks the gene for analytical reasoning. For him, solving a maths problem will become literally impossible. But it is also possible that a person has the gene for logical reasoning, but it is not expressed as much. But with practice, with more effort and more practice, these genes, which are not highly expressed, will start expressing more because they become more and highly activated. So practicing might hone your skills. And these skills, like the logical reasoning or the analytical reasoning, will help that person in other work as well, like solving a chess or a Sudoku problem. So practice makes a man perfect. So see, if you have the gene which is not as much expressed for biology or for maths, or in that case logical reasoning or memory or learning, with practice it can be sharpened and it can be honed. Now it is seen a person who is a football player, he is definitely good at football, is also good at other sports. Well, again the same reason. While playing football, the genes that is responsible for the proper coordination between the limbs and the eye, or for proper concentration, is honed with more and more practice. So the same qualities are also required to play other sports. So since the genes are highly expressed or highly active in their body already, that is why it is not difficult for them to play another sport.